Hi everyone, this is Annalisa. Welcome back. So today I'm going to share with you guys this split cup ring pour that I did using a cup my husband printed on his 3D printer. He actually has printed me a few of these cups to test on, but the little one ended up working the best. I did not list out all of these individually in the video. However, I will have a list of all of the colors I use for this in the description below. So if you're wondering which colors I'm using, I will have a link I will have them listed in the description. So I started this not entirely sure where I was going with it. I just kind of wanted to give it a try. The one thing I realized right off the bat was that my paint was extremely thick, and it made it really hard to get it to split up into the different cups. Also, in hindsight, I should have made a little bit more so that I wasn't trying so hard to put little tiny bits in at a time. But since I don't do a lot with ring pours, I didn't want to make too big of a batch and then have a bunch of waste. So I tested this out and I used my Polypore and varnish to get the right consistency for this. After the first few little pours of my paints into my split cup, I grabbed my varnish and I thinned them out quite a bit just to make them flow a little bit smoother. This was really quite the ordeal. I really was not expecting this to take as long as it did just to separate out the colors. So next time I try this, I think I'm gonna rethink how I put in the colors. But it really did give a fun effect. So I don't know. To be continued for that. How do you guys do your ring pours? Do you put all of your color in like larger amounts? I have only done a small handful of them usually. I'm not very good about cleaning out the cups after I'm all done, so then I end up ruining the cups. Yeah, it becomes a mess. So I tend to stay away from anything that becomes too big of a mess. But this was so much fun that I actually will be trying it again, even if I do have to clean out the cup. But I would appreciate any tips, tricks, whatever for doing these ring pours. So I got my cell phone to record this part because I wanted everybody to be able to see the colors coming out of the cup, because that is literally the most mesmerizing part. In the beginning, it's just so satisfying being able to see all of the colors come out. And so that's where I really enjoyed putting little bits of color in at a time, because it did make for a really colorful set of colors. However, the blue and the pink kind of mixed together and turned into a purplish color. So I would maybe not do so much blue and pink right next to each other. Just thoughts for future. And I used my pillow just to make it easier for my paint to move. I didn't want my paint to fold in on itself as it was trying to stretch across the heart. And so right off the bat, I kind of realized that I didn't do a very good job when I poured the ring. And so I had to give it a few goes with my embossing tool. And I have to say I'm really glad that I did, because it kind of saved the day here. These embossing tools really are lifesavers. I cannot speak highly enough about them. I will also have a link in the description below of a set that's similar to mine so that you guys can get an idea. But any of them will work. You can get them at any craft store, usually in the scrapbooking section. Just when you're looking for a set, it really does pay to have several different sizes. So just something to keep an eye out for. The bigger embossing tips are really good for like popping bubbles, or for smoothing out bubbles that have popped and then you see too much of your pillow popping out. The smaller ones are really good for detail work, like the swirling. And then there are several different instances where I've found that they can be extremely useful, but the size really does matter. So I just highly recommend getting multiple sizes. So by the time I made it to this point, I still wasn't entirely happy with how everything was going. So I decided to give my embossing tool one more try, and I made sure that with this go around, I took my lines all the way up to try to even out my circle, and it actually ended up working out really well, much better than what I had actually expected. So I was perfectly happy to call it, and I plan to practice this a lot more to see if I can make my rings a bit more symmetrical as I'm pouring them. Anyway, so that was my split cup ring pour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are not already, please consider subscribing. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.